Did you know that a woman's heart often speaks a different language than a man's? Especially after the age of 65. And tragically, because we've spent decades listening for the wrong signs, we are missing its most urgent warnings. Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Clark. For over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping seniors navigate the unique health challenges that come with aging. And today, we need to have a serious talk about one of the biggest threats to women's health, a threat that is misunderstood, misdiagnosed, and far too often fatal. Heart disease kills more women in the United States than all forms of cancer combined. Let that sink in for a moment. All the awareness we have around breast cancer is wonderful, but heart disease is a far more silent and widespread killer of our mothers, sisters, and wives. The great injustice is that for up to 95% of women, the body sends out warning signs for weeks, even months, before a major cardiac event. But these signs aren't the dramatic, chest-clutching scenes you see in movies. They are subtle, they are confusing, and they are too easily dismissed as just stress, indigestion, or the normal aches and pains of getting older. Let me tell you about a patient of mine, Eleanor. A wonderful woman, 72 years old, who spent her days gardening and looking after her grandchildren. She came to me complaining of what she called a deep weariness. She was also having trouble sleeping and felt a strange, nagging ache in her jaw, which she'd already seen a dentist for. She was convinced it was just the stress of a busy life. She said to me, "Dr. Clark, I guess this is just what getting old feels like." Eleanor was wrong. Those weren't the signs of aging. They were the early whispers of a heart in distress. Thankfully, we listened. By the end of this video, you will know how to listen too. You will understand the fundamental differences in heart attack symptoms between men and women. You'll learn the powerful hormonal reasons behind this shift after menopause, and most importantly, you'll be armed with a clear plan to protect yourself and the women you love. Because your life, or the life of someone you cherish, may depend on recognizing a warning that you might otherwise ignore. You are not alone in this, and the good news is, knowledge is your most powerful medicine. So, let's get started. The first thing we absolutely must understand is that the classic heart attack is largely a male phenomenon. For generations, medical research was conducted primarily on men. The result is that our entire cultural understanding of a heart attack is built on a male model. We picture a man, maybe clutching his left arm, feeling an elephant sitting on his chest, an intense, crushing pain that leaves no doubt something is terribly wrong. And while some women do experience this, a significant number, especially after 65, experience something entirely different. Their symptoms are often more subtle and spread throughout the upper body. Instead of a crushing chest pain, a woman might feel a pressure, a fullness, or a squeezing sensation in the center of her chest that can come and go. She may feel a sharp, uncomfortable pain not in her chest, but in her neck, her jaw, her back between the shoulder blades, or even her stomach. I had a patient, Brenda, who was convinced she had a terrible case of heartburn for 3 days. She took antacids, but the feeling of intense pressure and nausea just wouldn't go away. It wasn't her stomach, it was her heart. One of the key reasons for this difference lies deep within the circulatory system itself. Many women are more prone to what's called small vessel heart disease, or microvascular disease. Think of your heart's blood supply like a city's road system. The big coronary arteries are the major highways. Standard tests, like an angiogram, are very good at spotting a big traffic pileup on one of these highways. But in women, the problem is often in the smaller vessels, the city streets and side roads. Plaque can build up in a more diffuse, spread-out way, causing thousands of tiny traffic jams that don't fully block a major artery but starve the heart of oxygen all the same. This explains why the symptoms can be less intense and more widespread, and why standard tests sometimes come back normal even when a woman is reporting real symptoms. Another crucial difference is the trigger. For men, a heart attack is often triggered by physical exertion, shoveling snow, for instance. For women, it's far more likely to be triggered by emotional or mental stress. The sudden death of a loved one, a period of intense family conflict, or even just prolonged anxiety can be the event that pushes the heart over the edge. Have you ever felt that deep physical ache that comes with profound stress? It's important to ask yourself, could that feeling be more than just an emotion? Could it be a signal from your heart? Now, to truly understand why this shift happens so dramatically after 65, we need to talk about the powerful role of hormones, specifically estrogen. For the majority of a woman's life, from puberty through her 40s and early 50s, estrogen acts as a kind of guardian angel for her cardiovascular system. It performs several critical protective functions. First, it helps keep the lining of the blood vessels smooth and flexible, allowing them to expand and contract easily to accommodate blood flow. Think of it like a new, pliable garden hose. Second, estrogen has a positive effect on cholesterol levels. It helps to keep the bad cholesterol, or LDL, in check while often boosting the good cholesterol, or HDL, which works to clear plaque out of the arteries. Finally, it has natural anti-inflammatory properties, which helps prevent the dangerous inflammation that contributes to plaque formation in the first place. For decades, this hormone is working quietly in the background, providing a significant degree of natural protection. But then comes menopause. On average, around age 51, estrogen levels begin to plummet. By the time a woman reaches her 60s, this protective shield is almost completely gone. And without it, a cascade of changes begins to accelerate, fundamentally altering her risk profile. The blood vessels, no longer benefiting from estrogen's relaxing effect, start to become stiffer and more brittle. This is a primary driver of the increase in high blood pressure we see in women after menopause. The delicate balance of cholesterol shifts, often leading to higher levels of that dangerous LDL cholesterol. We also see a change in how women store fat. There's a tendency to accumulate more visceral fat deep within the abdomen. This isn't the fat you can pinch, it's fat that wraps around your organs, and it's metabolically active. It acts like a little factory, pumping out inflammatory substances that directly harm the heart and blood vessels. The risk of developing blood clots also increases. Now, let's add another critical factor into this equation: diabetes. This is a point I cannot stress enough. A woman with diabetes has a profoundly higher risk of having a heart attack than a man with diabetes. Before menopause, estrogen provides some defense against the vessel damage caused by high blood sugar. But once that protection is gone, the damage accelerates exponentially. It creates a perfect storm for a cardiac event. I think of my patient, Maria. She was 68 and had managed her type 2 diabetes diligently for over a decade. Her blood sugar was well controlled, and she felt she was doing everything right. She came to see me after a frightening episode of extreme shortness of breath and dizziness while she was simply loading her dishwasher. An evaluation revealed significant blockages in her small coronary arteries. She was shocked. "But, Dr. Clark," she said, "my A1C is good, I eat right, I walk every day." She didn't realize that the loss of estrogen had unmasked the full extent of the damage diabetes had been quietly doing to her blood vessels for years. It multiplied her risk in a way she never saw coming. This hormonal connection is the missing piece of the puzzle for so many women. It's the reason why a woman's risk for heart disease catches up to, and eventually surpasses, a man's. It's why the symptoms become more complex and the stakes get so much higher after 65. So, let's talk about these dangerous symptoms in more detail, because this is the knowledge that can save your life. The single most common symptom, reported by over 70% of women, is unusual fatigue. And I'm not talking about the tiredness you feel after a poor night's sleep. This is a profound, bone-deep exhaustion. It's the feeling of having run a marathon when all you did was make the bed. It's a weariness so heavy that simple tasks like grocery shopping feel overwhelming. This is your body's check engine light, and it's often the very first sign, appearing weeks before an event. Closely linked to this are sleep disturbances. You might find yourself suddenly unable to fall asleep, or waking up frequently throughout the night, often with a feeling of anxiety or a sense of impending doom. This isn't just stress, it can be a physiological response from a heart that is struggling. Another major sign is shortness of breath, especially when it occurs without any significant exertion. If you find yourself getting winded walking to the mailbox or climbing a single flight of stairs, that is a red flag. It feels as though you just can't get a deep, satisfying breath. Then there is the pain, but it's often not where you'd expect. It can be a dull ache in the jaw, a strange tightness in the neck, or a persistent pressure that feels like a knot between your shoulder blades. It's so easy to blame these on arthritis or a pulled muscle. And finally, there is nausea, indigestion, and stomach pain. This is the great masquerader. It can feel exactly like heartburn or the flu, sometimes accompanied by a cold, clammy sweat or lightheadedness. Each of these symptoms on its own is easy to dismiss. We tell ourselves, I'm just getting older, I'm stressed, I ate something that didn't agree with me. This is what we call the deadly delay. The time spent rationalizing these symptoms is time when heart muscle is being deprived of oxygen and dying. But it does not have to be this way. The good news is that you have immense power to protect yourself. Let's move from risk to action. Think of this as your personal heart protection plan. First, know your numbers. This means regularly monitoring your blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and blood sugar. Get a reliable home blood pressure cuff and use it. These numbers are the vital statistics of your cardiovascular health. Work with your doctor to get them into a healthy range and keep them there. Second, embrace gentle, consistent movement. You don't need to train for a marathon. The goal is at least 150 minutes of moderate activity per week. That could be a brisk 30-minute walk 5 days a week. It could be water aerobics, dancing, or gardening. The key is consistency. Third, focus on a heart-healthy diet. This is simpler than it sounds. Start by making one small change. Swap a processed snack for an apple. Add one more serving of vegetables to your dinner plate. Reduce your sodium intake by tasting your food before you automatically reach for the salt shaker. These small steps add up to profound protection. And finally, manage your stress. Given that emotional stress is such a potent trigger for women, finding healthy ways to cope is not a luxury. It's a medical necessity. This could be prayer, meditation, spending time with loved ones, or simply taking 10 minutes a day for quiet, deep breathing. So, when do you stop managing and start acting? If you experience a combination of these subtle symptoms, for example, unusual fatigue, plus that nagging jaw pain, or shortness of breath accompanied by a cold sweat and nausea, the time for waiting is over. You must seek immediate help. Do not drive yourself to the hospital. Call 911. Paramedics can begin life-saving treatment the moment they arrive, which can make all the difference. If you are not allergic and don't have a bleeding disorder, chew one adult-strength aspirin while you wait for help to arrive. And when you get to the emergency room, you must be your own best advocate. Look the doctor or nurse in the eye and say with confidence, I am a woman over 65, and I am concerned I am having a heart attack. My symptoms are, then list them clearly, even the ones that seem odd. Do not let anyone dismiss your concerns. You know your body better than anyone. The story of women's heart health has been misunderstood for far too long, but that story is changing, and you are now part of that change. Your heart speaks a different language after 65, but it is not a foreign one. You now know how to listen for its whispers, how to interpret its warnings, and how to take powerful, proactive steps to protect it. You are your own greatest defender. Please share this video. Share it with your sisters, your mothers, your friends. You have the knowledge now to start a conversation that could, quite literally, save a life. Thank you for taking this time for your health.